righty. Well, welcome back to the Jake Kennedy Show. Today's very special guest is my friend Ricky. Ricky, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm pretty good. We'll start with a prayer like we always do, and we'll go from there. Dear God, I thank you for this day, and I thank you for my friend Ricky just coming out here and just being willing to discuss sobriety with me and just all of the things that people are going through right now. The world is crazy, but I think we can take a little bit of solace in you and this struggle that we're all on together, and just pray for fruitful time with good discussion. And we thank you for this day. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. So, Ricky, give us a quick 1-2, introduce yourself, and just kind of your sobriety journey.
All right. Well, so I just celebrated 14 years almost 2 weeks ago. So, no, I take that back. It was just over a week ago. So 14 years. And I came in under my own volition, so I wasn't.
Try to talk like sort of.
Sorry.
You're good.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Cut that out.
It's okay.
All right. So I came in 14 years ago, and I came in under my own volition. So a lot of times in the program, right, people would come in court-ordered or family-ordered. They don't want to be there, right? I had hit a point where I was in a bad spot. So when I came in, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a handle on my drinking. Mm-hmm. Not gonna quit. I'm gonna get a handle on it. I'm gonna see what these AA guys are doing, right? So I came in under my own volition and white knuckled it for 11 months. So in the program, there's all the recommendations, things that you should do, get a sponsor, home group. I decided to do none of those. And after 11 months, went back out for 6 days, and I've been sober ever since. So, so for me, this, the journey has been interesting, right? Global pandemic, like all the other things that, the normal journey of like growth and sobriety, early sobriety, long-term sobriety, all the challenges that you get hit along the way. But at the same time, we had a global pandemic just thrown right in the middle of it, right? So we went from, just normally where you'd have people come in and, struggle with, addiction. Mm-hmm. And then you throw a global pandemic into it where people can't even go to meetings anymore. And it's been transformative, to say the least. So, so for me, at this point in my life, I'm, pushing 40, so I'm going through midlife crisis stuff. But I'm starting to get to that point of sobriety where I'm an old timer essentially, but I'm like right in the middle ground, right? So I've been sober long enough that I have several sponsees and grand sponsees, but I'm not at that 25, 30 year point, right? So I'm in this spot of sobriety where you'll start seeing people go back out, to be honest. You'll see guys with 15, 20 years that fall on, they get it in their own laurels, and before you know it, they're out. You're like, where did he go? He had 20 years. You're like, oh man, made a mistake, right? So my whole thing is just trying to stay as connected as I can and be as much service as I can to others. And that just keeps you grounded. But, it doesn't matter how much sobriety time I have, because realistically, like, if I stop doing the things that I'm doing, I'm just going to go back out.
No, that's great. I wanted to say this to you because you're a guy that not just people in sobriety, but I would say even young men, you have a lot of things that young men want. You have a beautiful family, wife, kids, job, nice haircut, and your sobriety time. And I didn't know it was 14 years. That's great.
Yeah.
And you mentioned sponsorship, and I wanted to ask you, when was the time in your sobriety where you said, because they ask every meeting, like, okay, raise your hand if you are clean and are willing to sponsor somebody. And I've been sober for about 7 years now, and I've never felt when they say that, like, I should just, like, they don't have talks with you, like, okay, at 7 years, you should start
Yeah.
sponsoring people. They don't do that. I think the 12th step is where it kind of refers to you giving back and like being of service to the program and to others. And I may have met someone recently from my high school days, and he's new to recovery, and he might be. It just kind of felt like maybe he could be the one that I start sponsoring, and I know I could do it. I don't have any question about that. And I mean, in terms of like when you decided that you were going to start sponsoring people, when did that happen for you?
So I feel like, I don't know, I'm a competitive guy, right? So early in sobriety, right, I hit probably about a year and a half. And it seemed like all these other guys came in with were already like sponsoring people. And I felt like literally I was like, man, I'm ready, right? But it just never worked out. That was the crazy thing. Now I have several, right? But early on, I was eager to sponsor. Like I wanted to sponsor people because I was like, man, I learned so much. I want to pass this on to people. I felt like motivationally, like I'm like, man, I could be there for somebody and do that, and it just never happened. And so that was the crazy thing, was that I didn't sponsor anybody for, gosh, years. I think it was probably early on, probably within the first year or two. I had some people approach me after a meeting, hey, will you be my sponsor? Yeah, sure. Never hear from them again. But it wasn't until, God, it had to have been 3 to 5 years. And that's when it wasn't like I'd gotten to a point where like my kids were starting to get a little bit older. I had a little more time. I had more flexibility. And that's when it happened. So it wasn't like I just went out there and was like, all right, I'm ready to do it. And then the universe was like, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
I was ready, but I didn't have the capacity that I needed to be a good sponsor. And it was just a time constraint. Really, that was it. So and that's where when we talk about open, honest, with like the willingness, right? You can have all the willingness in the world, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen. And that's exactly what happened with me. I had all the willingness in the world. Like, I want to sponsor people. I want to do this. I want to show people. Like, I want people to have what I'd gotten.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't get it. So literally I was like ready to go, and then it just never happened. So at a certain point, one of the other people in the program, I don't know if you may or may not have known her, but her brother needed help. And it was like just like your friend, pseudo sponsorship type deal, right? He was kind of half in, half out. He was basically trying to stay sober just to get his license back.
Mm-hmm.
But he ended up with long-term sobriety. Like, that was the positive of it. It was like going into those things, right? Even though I had all the will, the want to do it, it didn't happen. So when it did happen, when somebody was like, hey, that's when the wheels started turning, right? It was like, okay, I jumped in with this guy. I talked to my sponsor about the same thing, right? Like, oh, like, I'm ready, but I can just tell. Like, he's not 100% and he's like 90% in, right? But he was like, you know what? Just do it. Like, there's nothing that can go wrong with you passing on the things that you know. It'll help you in what your understanding of the steps, right? Your experiences. And then you can also see your flaws. Because as you put everything out there, and you're trying to tell people all the things that they do, then you inherently start looking at like, well, what am I doing? Am I praying enough? Am I going to enough meetings? I'm telling this guy to go, several days a week or whenever he needs to. Am I doing that? And it's a good self-reflection so that you can see where you're at with your sobriety. If there's any areas you need to work on, you can work on it as you're sponsoring people, right? It gives you a lot of opportunity to, okay, I'm telling this guy, like, you should go to more meetings. And then I'm looking at my schedule saying, like, well, I'm only going twice a week. So then you know what? I need to meet with him. I'm going to do another meeting. I'm going to do an extra meeting. And it slowly helps you to kind of get yourself, if you start sliding, get you out of a funk, right? So in my case, I was ready. Didn't happen. Now, after I sponsored him, then the wheels started turning, right? As my schedule kind of like started to shift and change whereas my kids were getting a little bit older. Because the first several years of sobriety, I had young kids, right? So I was literally like put kids to sleep, clean up, hit the road, go straight to a meeting, get out, get home at midnight, rinse, repeat multiple times a week, right? So I was fried. But as I got older, I'm like, man, I have more time. And that's when it started happening, right? Put my hand up, and then it just started just like you see after the meeting where, hey, Ricky, I've seen you at meetings. I've been in and out over the years, whatever the case may be. Will you sponsor me? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like two of my current sponsees, who are like two of the closest guys in the world to me, they're both older than me by a long shot. But it was like I had my sponsee passed away. Well, then his sponsee, who was fresh into the program, needed somebody and came to me because he was like, look, like that's my grand sponsor, right? My sponsor's no longer here. And now he and I are super close, right? But it'll happen naturally. But I think for you, and I'm not your sponsor, but just from the outside looking in, right, is that you can't lose, especially being so far into the program. Like you can't lose by sponsoring somebody, even if it's a pseudo sponsor, like you would be, right? Like, to be honest, if it's a friend from the past who you went to school with, mm-hmm. you're too close. Like, you realistically shouldn't be a technical sponsor for that person, right? Just because you have history, there might be some old stuff there. It's best when you sponsor somebody where you are pretty much like you know them, but you don't know them, mm-hmm. right? Like, I know you from the meetings, but it's not like we grew up together, we live in the same neighborhood, we didn't go to school together. So you have a little bit of distance. Mm-hmm. And that gives them a perspective of like, there's no bias there, right? Like you're like arm's length transaction, right? Like we're close, but I'm far enough away where like that person looks at your perspective and like, okay, like there's nothing there. Now for you to get going though, like I've done that in the past where it's like, I'll be your pseudo sponsor, your temporary sponsor, right? We always say temporary. Well, what the heck does that mean, right? But for you to get you rolling and you're ready, then I do it. Just there's no head. Just start taking them through the steps, right? Mm-hmm. Get them involved. Take them to a meeting, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, get in the car. We're going to a meeting, right? Take them to a meeting, and get them rolling. Because for you, it'll help you immensely. Because every time you do it and you go through the steps again, but you go through them as the 10,000 foot view, mm-hmm. rather than doing it, and you're at the 10,000 foot view and you're guiding somebody through it, you start realizing how much you've learned, right? Hands down. Like now you're like, because there are times, I don't know about you, I've had it several times in my sobriety where I'm like, do I really know what I'm talking about? And then you start talking somebody through the steps, and then you see like, oh man, like I actually have. Surprisingly, I've learned something over the last 14 years, right?
Yeah. You'd hope.
This 7 years, right? You're like, man, I had some great shares, but have I really learned anything?
Yeah.
So, but I'm telling you, you can't lose. Because even the only thing that you would have to be concerned about is if that person was at risk of going out. And if you were so close that them going out would then pull you down with them, that could be a concern. But if that's not a concern, then don't worry about it. Like you'll be good, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing you got to watch for. That's why the arm's length transaction type deal is critical. It's like if you're trying to take a cousin through it, or like me, I had my best friend since kindergarten go into the program, right? Like he went through. He and I were insane together. My insanity stopped at 25, and he kept pushing another 5 years to a new level that I never got to.
Sure.
But when it came time for him, like his family needed help, I told his brother, I'm like, I can't sponsor him.
Yeah.
Right? The only thing I can do, I can be supportive to the family. Mm-hmm. I can walk them through what they need to do. I can get him set up in a meeting, find a sponsor for him. I can do those things. But from an arm's length, like from somewhat of afar, right?
Sure.
Because if he goes down, I mean, we have so much history. He's gonna pull me with him.
Sure. And when you do your sponsoring, I was walked through it. There was paperwork involved. I don't know if you follow that method as well. And if you do, is all of that sort of internal within our club, or is that stuff you can find online? Is that pretty?
So I don't do so to be honest, I've never done the paperwork part. I haven't. Now it's the same, but again, you look at the same thing with like a home group, right? You're supposed to put your name in the home group. You know what? We had a little container. Other groups have books,
Sure.
right? So you're officially on the books, right? But how many people have actually done that?
Right.
Right?
Never.
Like
Me, never.
exactly. There was a time in my sobriety when I first came in, right? So this is, you think like, oh my God, 14, what was that, 2001? You're like, no, this was like 2011, right? So it's not that long ago. Like we would literally would go to a box, open up a little container and take like cards out and say, okay, it's November 25th. Is Sarah S here?
Oh,
Sarah? Oh no. And then you just like, you put it down. You're like, oh, is Bill F here? No. Oh, you just like, and then finally, you know, every once in a blue moon, you'd see someone like, oh yeah, no, Ricky is here. I know he's here. So he got his year, right? But literally, like that was modern technology in
Sure.
2012. So I never done the actual paperwork. The way that my sponsor, look, I had two sponsors. The one that the one that I still have and is still alive, lives in Chicago, and he's been phenomenal, right? He and I have always like, again, we don't talk every day, but if I call, he's always there,
yeah.
which is perfect, right? The other sponsor that I had was like in the trenches. He came in hard out of left field, like took me through the book. He was a like notified big book thumper.
Blue check, big book.
He was like big check mark, massive big book thumper. Some meetings like kicked him out because he was so he got kicked out of meetings for being such a big book.
You love being at the meeting when those guys come around, though. You're like,
Oh,
okay,
you can see him from a mile. You can one, you can hear him, but then two, you see him. You're like, it's actually interesting to see the look on people's faces
Sure.
who are brand new and they don't know what's coming, and then you're like, oh, he's gonna give him a show in about 5, you know, and then some meetings you're like, oh, it's pretty quiet, and nothing happened, and then you see him catch him after the meeting, and that's when the fireworks start going, right? Because then you see him open the big book as they're talking after the meeting. You're like, oh, got him.
yeah,
But now, the benefit of working with him, it was crazy, right? But it was awesome because he literally, chapter by chapter, we went through all of the steps right out of the book, right? And that's how I do it. You know, I use the packets for the 4th step as a guide.
yeah,
Those are good. They're
Yeah.
great. There's good ideas. Actually, and to be honest, modern technology, right? Like utilizing PDF, which isn't new, right? But the PDF pages are awesome.
Right.
So like if you need that, I use that for my sponsees because I'm like, you don't have, it's 1935.
Yeah.
You don't have to get a notebook. Like, dude, we have a PDF. Just fill it out, do your check marks. It's so much more efficient.
right.
I use that, but I go right out of the big book. I go chapter by chapter. But what my key is, I have them read through it, and I'll just tell first meeting or two, like times we meet, background. Tell me about yourself. I'll tell you about myself. Let's see where we're at. Where are you at? Like, are you fresh off? You know, like, have you been not drinking for a week, but you've been off pills for a few days, right? Are you, have you been off for months? Did you just have a fresh relapse? Whatever, right? We just kind of just lay the groundwork, right? What's your family situation like? What's your job situation like? What's everything like, right? Because what I like to do is take a look at a holistic approach, right? If you're going to get somebody to help them through recovery, you can't just think that just doing the steps is going to get you there, because it's not. The step work will give you good opportunity to stay sober, but you have to have the person, they have to have a routine, they have to work to make sure that we don't trip over any obstacle that could get in our way. Financial, emotional, spiritual, family, like I said, every basic fear that you have that helped you become an alcoholic or an addict is also going to be the thing that's going to trip you up in your sobriety. So the only way to way to give yourself the best shot at long-term sobriety is you have to make sure that you address every single one, right? That includes physical too, because everybody just thinks, okay, I stopped drinking, I'm good. It's like, do you have depression? Do you have anxiety? Do you have emotional distress? Are there other things? Like me, right? My first sponsor, this is a great thing we talked about when we first sat down, we started working fourth, fifth step. We talked about, do you have any emotional type issues, right? I say emotional issues because there's a wide variety. We could go psychological, whatever you want to call it, right? I was like, yeah, I've been diagnosed with, depression and anxiety. He's like, okay, well, I'm not a doctor, so we're going to use a multi-pronged approach, right? We're going to utilize your psychologist or psychiatrist to give you the medication that you need to take. You have to take it under their direction.
Yeah.
So we're going to address the emotional and those issues with them. You and I are going to work the steps together. We're going to work on the addiction portion of it, right? And then if there's any other physical issues, right, that's where, because just like that, if you work with somebody they had an injury, they have chronic back pain, I'm not a back doctor. So we have to utilize them. So you take a multifaceted approach. So when it all comes together, the person is, in the best spot to long-term sobriety, right?
Yes, sir. You mentioned the portion about, okay, yeah, dude, I mean, I am going to help you with sobriety and I will be your coach, but you may need some more help than just that. Like if it is a psychological issue or a therapist, I've only worked with a therapist a handful of times, but it was still an experience that I'm really grateful for and would recommend to anybody.
Yep.
And like you said, physical issues, mental, emotional, spiritual, your communities. And that was kind of a big reason for me starting this podcast is like, I have so many different communities that I am involved with that have kept me and have poured into me and have just helped guide me along this road. Church groups, young adults groups, through the churches, my sobriety group. I've only gone to AA meetings at the PC, and I think that's okay because, I mean, I'm getting a program, right? I think, I might want to hear you talk about if you've gone to other meetings and like maybe what they were like and different knowledge that was there because you like having a guy, like you said, that is either like super on the big book or like super, we mentioned our friend Ryan earlier, like health stuff, really honing in on what it is that's going to help you maintain your sobriety. I was just on this kick recently and I had a couple notes in the phone about this. I'm gonna make a statement about kind of where I'm at in sobriety now. Have you watched the new Stranger Things?
Not yet.
Not yet. So there's this scene in there, without giving too much away, where this girl, she's locked inside of a dream of like a multitude of dreams, and the only way out of this dream was for this guy to play this song. Whenever the song was playing, she was able to follow it to wherever the next dream was that was going to get her out and then back to reality.
It's like Inception.
Yes.
Inception, yeah.
Yes.
The same thing, you got to work through the levels of the dream, yeah.
And it's like that thread that you have to pull on to like get to the next mental level of achievement for you to be able to say, okay, I don't know that this is the answer, but I think it might be, so let me try this. And like, I was on a dopamine detox recently where, I mean, I broke my streak today. I just cracked an energy drink, but I had not drank an energy drink for like probably a week or something like that.
That's good.
And it was, so like that, I had quit porn recently. I was not using nicotine in any capacity. I had come fresh off of a fast. And like, I just came to this place of being like, okay, dude, like you will not be able to, like you said, with the want being there when you initially wanted to sponsor people, like my will to like try and get this next level of freedom, whatever it was in my mind, it was just not possible, like through the things I was doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like okay, yep, you're not drinking any caffeine, you're not taking in any nicotine, you're not doing, because that's a big theme in sobriety, is like once somebody's free from alcohol or drugs or whatever, they might have this other crutch that they depend on, whether it is one of those substances or an addiction like that. And what I realized was, I think that the drugs and alcohol, it's an obvious crater in our lives that needs to be stayed away from. Like once you go to those very mind altering drugs, it's like you're going to start having those problems that got you there in the first place. And so I kind of just was like, all right, dude, like I'm not going to be able to earn my sobriety by just being free from all of these things. Like God has to, there's more work that needs to be done. And I'm just, like I said, pulling on the thread of, and trying to, maybe I thought this was the answer and it's not. And like, maybe now I'm on this other road and I'm trying to figure out what that is. And so like maybe for you and where you're currently at in your sobriety and themes and where your thread is there something that you're working right now, or is there a answer or key that you're trying to pursue, or even just a topic that you're like really honed in on right now?
Yeah, actually there is. So for myself, well, one, before I get going on myself, right? You did it. You figured it out. You figured out the next level. You don't know. Like that's the thing, is that you can, and I this is what you find, and what you're figuring out right now is that you can think in your mind, like, if I take all these things away, I'm gonna get there, right? I'm gonna be free of all this stuff. But really, the freedom is in your mind. Like that's the truth, right? Is that physically, you can have, like, I took away nicotine, porn. You take all the dopamine away, right? But what's like one of the biggest dopamine highs you can get is like joy from something that you achieve, right? So like you're still, so the irony is that you take it all away and then you end up with a dopamine high from doing what you wanted to do, right? So isn't it crazy? So
Yeah.
you figure it out. You're like, addition by subtraction, it works sometimes,
Yeah.
but it doesn't work all the time, right? So that's all it's about. Like that's the next level, is that when if you feel like you're wandering aimlessly, no, it's like you're going through different things and you're trying different things. Like that's really what it's about, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the awesome part, is you're like, we in general, right? Just like we talked about, right? Like cutting out certain things that are bad for us, that's great, right? But at the same time too, like you can cut everything away and be absolutely miserable. And you're like, why am I doing, like, but if we find a healthy ground, right? Like I'm doing something positive for my sobriety. I'm doing, I worked out today. I'm doing a podcast today. If I have an energy drink, it's not the end of the world, right?
Correct.
Right? You have 6 more of them, we got a problem, right?
Yeah.
But that's where when you can find the level of comfortability to be like, I'm going to do this one thing and I'm going to have that a little bit. And I'm not chasing a dopamine high, but I'm trying to have enough energy so I can do everything that I need to do today, not crash and not take it out on other people because I'm exhausted, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's okay,
Yeah.
right? Now the point where we get into trouble is where you start having 17 of them.
Right.
Right? But that's what you're going to find in your sobriety.
Yeah.
You're just going to try a different avenue. And that's what it's all about. Like staying sober and trying different things in your life so that when you get to the end, you're like, I tried it all. I did as much as I possibly could with the time that I had.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I'm starting to get to, right? Is that like for myself and I'm getting to a point of my life where I'm at the tipping point of I'll be 40 next year, right? So like I can't do things that I used to do because of my age, but I can still do more than what I'm going to be able to do in the next 10 years, right? So you're at this weird point where it's like, as an example, right? Like I went to the doctor, I don't know, a couple months ago, and he's like, "Hey, did some blood work, and your A1C is way out of whack." Or he said your blood sugar. I was like, okay, well, I had pre-workout that morning. I went to the gym. I was like, it's probably just, again, we talk about the dopamine fix, right? It's like, do I take pre-workout before I work out? Yeah. Should I? Absolutely not, right? It's not an FDA approved crap, right?
Sure.
So I thought it was that. He's like, no, your A1C is way out of whack. So like starting to make adjustments, right? So for me, the biggest adjustment that I've had to make is that recently too, and this is recent, is starting to eat eat and do the things that I know I should be doing, but I've just turned a blind eye to because I'm not drinking. So I can have a giant plate of like desserts, or I can like snack like crazy, or eat all this crap. Oh, I work out hard, so it's going to be okay, right?
Yeah.
So that's my thing, is more of like a health side of it, right? Is that, for me, it's basics, but you're like, oh, you're trying to sleep more, you're trying to drink less like, yeah, I'm like in the last 14 years, right? I work out a ton, but my diet's been hit or miss and bad at times. Caffeine intake, horrible, right?
Right.
Now I'm super busy and crazy, so like part of it is warranted, but like enough sleep. To be honest, even though I haven't been drinking, like I haven't really been taking care of myself that great, right?
Yeah.
So like that's been the biggest thing, is that I know the things I should do.
Right.
And have I been doing them? Yeah, sometimes. Do I work out a ton? Yeah. Like, so people look at me like, you're a super healthy guy. I'm like, no. I just lift a lot.
Yeah.
I do a ton of cardio, but I don't sleep enough. I don't. And then you list all the things that I do that aren't the greatest, and you're like, oh yeah, no, you need to take better care of yourself, right? So
Yeah.
it's not all. So that's the thing, is that like you look at it and like, yes, addition by subtraction is real, right?
Yes.
When you look at the other stuff you talked about, like porn, anything, I'm in the same boat. Like I've been trying to cut back in multiple things in my life to a manageable point where it's not all or nothing, right? My whole mentality, my whole life has been all or nothing. You're all like, I'm either going to have an entire row or an entire container of Oreos, or I'm not going to have any sweets for 6 months. It's one or the other.
Dang.
Right? So it's one or the other, right? So I'm trying to work to a point in my life where I can start to say, like, okay, I'm going to have, like, I got up this morning, I did all this stuff. I'm going to have an energy drink for lunch today. The next day, habit would tell me to get another one. You're going to need another one. You're going to need another one.
Right.
You know what? No, I don't need that.
Yep.
It's okay. And then like 2 days later, and I've gotten to the point over weeks now where it's like, 6 months ago, it was like, okay, or even the last couple months coaching football, right? I get up, work out at 5 a.m., work all day, get out of work, go to football practice, get done. And I'm slamming an energy drink as I'm on my way to practice. And then I'm not eating till 9 o'clock at night. So then as soon as the season was done, I was like, okay, well, one, I'm not doing that anymore. So like, I'm not going nuts with that. And I've slowly been cutting back, and I feel better. Right. And that's what you're going to find with your sobriety or whatever you're working on too, right? Is if you get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm cutting out nicotine. Okay. I've been working and cut that back. It's like, okay, like, if I was like a younger dude, non-married, and I was like, okay, like, like porn's a great example, especially for people early in the program. 'Cause it's like, if you cut all this other stuff out and you're like, okay, well, like, I don't need it, but it helps to like not go crazy and make other bad decisions. Okay, maybe I'll utilize that as we'll call it a tool, right? Occasionally, so that I'm not like all jacked up on testosterone. Like, okay, like maybe that'll like cool things down a little bit. So maybe I'll use that as a tool. But then if you find the next day you're like, oh, I should, that's when you got to start playing the like pull back. I'm gonna pull back, right? I'm using too much caffeine. I'm gonna pull back, right? And that's the approach. If you take that, where I'm not gonna take it away. I'm just gonna pull back. There's something like in your mind where, especially being an addict, right? When you tell yourself, if I told you, you can't have that, what are you gonna want to do?
Defy you out of spite. You know?
I'm gonna take it right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we get away from that and we go and I tell you, it's like, hey man, like totally good, have it now, but like maybe tomorrow let's just pull back.
Yeah.
How do you feel? How do you feel with me saying that? Like, how does that feel?
It's at least a leeway. There's a little bit of room.
You have a choice.
Yeah.
You have a choice.
Yeah.
If we allow ourselves those choices, we give ourselves the opportunity to make the right choice. What happens when you make the right choice and you do something positive? You get the same dopamine fix that you were going to get with that.
Right. And that, like, honestly, I think is a huge thing with the journey and discovering, like, because you might have to fall. I'm not saying you have to, right?
Oh, no, you have to.
But
you have to.
It's like, because you get to these places where, and I said this to my mom last night as I was telling her about you and like, oh, who are you interviewing? And it's this guy, and you having a lot of the things that I want as a guy in sobriety, as a guy in general. I'm going to be you one day.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get to a point, like I think every human does, where I'm going to have all of these things that I want, and I'm going to just, like, why does life suck?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Why am I in this rut right now? I have a job, kids, whatever it is, right? And it is important to continue to remind yourself that this is a one day at a time program. And if you're struggling in an area, sometimes falling to realize that it is not the thing that you thought it was is just what's required for you to be able to move forward. Falling forward is a great term that was used around the club the last few days. And yeah, I think that's kind of what has to happen sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. You have to, like, the best part of failure is to laugh about it at a future point, right? Because it's ridiculous. Like, some of the things that we do, when you say it in hindsight, it is the dumbest things that you're like, why in the hell did I think that was a good idea? But that's the beauty of it, right? Is that you do these things, and in the hindsight, you're like, it's insane. Mm-hmm. But if you can find joy in it, and like, dude, I failed miserably throughout my 14 years, right? Yeah, I've had successes. I've helped people. Yeah, I've done dumb things. Like, my ego was so out of whack about 7-8 years in that it hit me like with my professional career, right? The ego was like way out of whack, and it bit me. And I got hit hard to the point where I needed to like wake up, like, hey man, like, you can't come in with this attitude of an arrogance, even though you can do good thing, like great work. If you come in with that arrogance, like, it's never going to serve you long term. Mm-hmm. So I flipped my whole mentality in 2019 to more of I just took an AA approach, like, be of service to other people. Yeah. When other people ask me to do things that, like like, hey, what can I do to help you? Like, what can I do for this? Like, hey, I want to help you with this. I can't get it to you now. What can I get to another time? When I flip that mentality of like, and mind you, I'm not being a doormat of like, I know when people are just pushing stuff off, taking, being of servant and help with them when they need things, great. But when you know that they're taking advantage of you, maybe pushing back a little bit and like, hey man, like, I'd love to help you, but I can't. Would you mind helping us? That's when you'll get to a point of comfortability where you can get through that with a sponsor, right?
Sure.
And it takes confidence too, because like it's super easy just to be taken advantage of or not stand up for yourself. Because you're just like, oh, I need to help. And then it's like, well, you do, but then like you can't be the help of other people if like someone's taking advantage of you, right?
Correct.
So, but for myself, dude, I failed miserably. And I look back at it. At the time, I was like super frustrated. And then now, 6 years later, it was what I needed. Mm-hmm. It helped immensely, right? So like for myself, like that's the type of thing that like as you go through your sobriety too, right? That I think the best thing that you can find is that the more stuff you get, the longer you're sober, right? Family, kids, house, cars, whatever, right? Is that as long as you can stay grounded and just keep that baseline mentality of like, I'm sober, I can pay my bills, and like I can enjoy the little thing. Like I can enjoy an energy drink and a talk on an afternoon. I can take a little bit of time. I can watch a little bit of football. Like if you have that baseline mentality of like, I'm just happy to have this stuff, right? All the rest of it is just like extra.
Yes. You are segueing beautifully into a point that I wanted to make, and it has to do with gratitude and thankfulness. I was in church a week ago, and one of the topics that was discussed was this perpetual dissatisfaction in life that you are going to experience. And it is going to set in. Like I said, you could be in a very good place, you could be in a very low place. This perpetual dissatisfaction in life has to be combated with gratitude and thankfulness. Mm-hmm. And he challenged us like all throughout this week. If you can pause, like before you wake up, say, God, like, thank you for this day. Thank you for whatever, and then go start your day. And then also when you find yourself about to complain about something or start being out of whack about a life situation or whatever, just stopping and naming 2 or 3 things that you're grateful for. And that helped. It honestly, it put me on notice for the rest of the week, because anytime those thoughts would creep up, I'd be like, or even when I was reffing my soccer games and a kid would kick the ball like over 3 fields away, a kid from that field would get it, and I'd be sure to be like, thank you, buddy. You know what I mean? Like just that little bit. And, people receive that too. It is an infectious thing. And so that to be said, and this comparison is the thief of joy thing. Like those are 2 subjects, with the gratitude and the comparison being the thief of your joy that you talked about. There will always be a bigger deal. There will always be a bigger fish that you're trying to fry. And in life, right, combating these thoughts with what you already have, like, God, I'm just grateful that I was able to come to this library. It's warm in here. Ricky showed up,
yeah,
and we got to have this interview. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, can you speak on that sort of in a couple of different aspects at all?
Yeah. So yesterday's a great example. Black Friday, right? You go out and there's 7 million people out. Everybody just wants stuff, right? And they're like, I got this, I got that, like You got people from everything. You got people out there in cars that have the letters falling off to like Mercedes and nice cars, people with money, people that don't have money, like all this stuff. You see everybody. Like I was literally just in the mall yesterday and you see all walks of life, right? And you think about like, what's the one common denominator that every single person that was there that had a smile on their face and they were doing stuff, they were with people they cared about, right? Like that's all that matters, right? Like the fact if you focus just on the fact that that dude went in and bought a new phone and you can't afford one, or like that girl's got that, like if that's your focus, then you're always going to be miserable. It sucks. Like that life sucks. I don't want that life. Like that life sucks. I've been there in my life where you're comparing yourself to other people. Well, I wanted to have. By this point, I thought I'd have more money in the 401k. I thought I'd have a nicer house, or I wanted to. It's just a miserable point of view. It's just miserable, right? But when you look at the people that are just walking around, laughing, having a good time, like maybe they bought something, maybe they didn't, but they're just enjoying the atmosphere of people buying gifts for other people, right? Yeah. If you look at it like that, it's a great freaking time. You don't even have to get anything. You just walk around. And you could feed off of other people's dopamine fix because there's nothing better than buying something for somebody else and giving them a gift, and you're super excited to give them that gift because you're like, man, I found the perfect thing. It doesn't matter what it is, but just seeing how excited that person is when you give it to them. Like that's what it's all about. So when you, like yesterday, I was in a weird spot at the end of the day. My wife even said, she's like, man, you're like frazzled. I was like, yeah, because earlier in the day, my focus was on getting other people's gifts, getting all the stuff, helping out, right? I got her aunt lunch, and we did all the things, and it was totally fine. I was in my zone. Like that's what I've been doing for years. I've been working to get to this point, right?
Right.
Then we go back that night, take a few things back, and it was time to get me something. And I was literally just walking around the store. I'm like, I don't even know what I want. Like clothes. Like, do I need more stuff? Like, I don't really need more stuff.
You have everything you need, right?
I have, and it was just like I was like checking out, and she's like, "You're a mess right now." I was like, "Yeah," because I'm doing the things that I normally don't do. Right. Well, my focus was solely on like getting different clothes that she said I needed. When my focus was on myself, I was all out of whack. Right. But when my focus was on other people, it's totally in the zone. I was ready to go, right? Now, I could look at that in two different ways. I could look at it as, man, I was selfish. I was focused on myself. I shouldn't do the things. Or I could look at it and be like, well, yeah, you were frazzled because your comfort zone is in focusing on trying to help other people. So if you're more comfortable and good there, like that's where you should be, right? So, and I talk about this with all my sponsees, red flags, right? You're going to go through the steps 70 million times through your sobriety, right? Over and over. Oh, I got to 12, go back to 1. The key to long-term sobriety is identifying the red flags as they come about, right?
Yes.
So like yesterday, step 10 and 11, I look through my day, make an inventory and amends if I need to make it, right? So I'm going through my day, and I got to the end of the day, I was like, I don't have any amends that I need to make for that, and there's no red flags, because if I was in my comfort zone of just focusing 100% on myself, then that's one thing. But if you're like laugh about it at the end of the day, you're just like, this is dumb, but you just laugh about it. You're like, well, it is what it is, right? I got a sweater. I got a new sweater, like, or whatever, right?
Right.
It's like, oh no, I don't have any red flags. Now, I did have a reaction to a guy that allegedly was in the middle of the lane and wouldn't let anybody pass because he decided he was going to turn left. And I don't know who did it, but somebody might have, maybe rolled down their window and like, I got some. If I ever see that guy again, I got to make an amends,
Right.
So I had a moment yesterday, so that happens. But again, if like, it's all perspective, right? And the only way to get a lot of this stuff, the only way to get it is experience, and the insanity of life and all the things that come with it, right? Like you talk about, right? Like every year, and I people are like, I have goals. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. I'm like, I always struggle with that. And it's coming up, right? We got got 4 more weeks and we're going to hit a new year. And you hear it every year, new year, new me. It's like, all right.
Yeah, no.
Right,
right.
But my struggle with it is that every time in my life, period, from the time that I was young until today, right, is that every time I had that goal, the obsessive nature would kick in, and I would go so hard. Like we said, all or nothing. If it's all, it's all. And I'm going, and then the obsession kicks in, and you get so wrapped up into it. Before you know it, you're like, you get to that point. You're like, okay, well, I got to go further. I got to do more. And the only thing that I realized, probably like the last 4 to 5 years, is that when you have that mentality of like, I'm gonna get that goal, you miss out on other opportunities. You know, if you're so focused in on just achieving that one goal, you miss out on other opportunities, man. Like maybe somebody else is like, hey, instead of like, I know you wanted to do 100 pull-ups in a row, but like maybe instead of doing those today, we go fishing or something. And you go, I'm gonna spend some time. You're like, listen, dude, I gotta do my stuff. It's not gonna happen. You might miss out on opportunities.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I want to maybe take a segue here to something, if you're comfortable talking about it, in regards to relationships, starting relationships. I'm single right now, and I'll see other people in the program. Maybe they're already in a relationship or a marriage or something, and they find out they are an alcoholic in a marriage. Maybe their partner or their spouse drinks. I feel like if that marriage is gonna last, like if that spouse is truly in love with the person that they married, that they'll make the adjustments to have a household environment that is conducive to whether it's the man or the woman being able to live their best life in sobriety. And you're married, you've been married for a little bit now, and I just was curious, like when you got married, were you like already sober, or did you and her, like, did you ever have a conversation about that, or like does your wife still drink? Like how are you guys in your marriage?
It's a good question. So when I relapsed, there's only been one person who's ever figured this out, and you know her, Tracy. She's the only one that figured it out. My 5-second spiel. I came in under my own volition. I white knuckled it for 11 months. I went out for 6 days. I've been sober. And then every year, people are like, hey, happy anniversary, you and Michelle, huh? 14 years. Like, yeah. Week later, hey, congrats on 14 years sober, right? No one ever put together, one person out of all of the years has ever put together that I relapsed on my honeymoon. So like one person, and I'm still surprised my wife stuck with me. I honestly, like, I joke about it now because if it was flipped, I would never have married her in a million years. Like I for myself too, right? I'm fun, I'm crazy, I'm a good time. But when she met me, I was a raging alcoholic. She didn't know it because I hid it really well, right? It was quick. Within the first year we were together, we got engaged. In that same time frame, all the hiding that I had been doing of like, she couldn't tell, like we would go to the bar and I'd have 2 to 3 times more than what she thought I had, right? And then I would drive us home, which was horrible. That stuff all caught up to me quick. So by the time we got engaged, she was like, hey, like, I'm not going to stay with you if you don't stop. Right. So that was my first intro to the program, was like, she was like, and I was all about, I knew right off the bat, like I was crazy about her. Right. So I was like, okay, she's right. I know I'm a raging alcoholic. It's time. So then I came in and white knuckled it.
Yeah.
Yep. So then now fast forward all the time. Right. I went out for 6 days in our honeymoon. We had a great time in the honeymoon. Some issues the last day because within 5-6 days, I physically couldn't stop anymore. Within 6 days, like by day 6, physically could not stop at the bar, obsessing, pound. I like it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like, so now, right, all these years later, right, I've seen so many people in relationships that one person is an addict or alcoholic and the other one isn't. And it either goes one of two ways. Either the addiction rips the family to shreds and they divorce and then everything, whatever happens, right? Or person gets help and they recover. Even with that, there's no guarantees. Damage is already done, right? So for like my wife, she is like I said, we married 14 years. She's stuck with me through the whole experience of becoming sober, right? Now, there's more family things on her side where, addiction is in the family and they had loss and they had some significant loss over it, right? So me doing that kind of opened the doors to like recovery and, like there's a lot of answers that started to come through about things that had happened in the past with her family because of the things that I was doing, right?
Sure.
So she ironically just out of the blue decided, I don't know, 2 years ago now, that she was just going to quit drinking, right? And it's funny because on Facebook, people tell her like, you're so strong in your dedication, all this stuff. I was like, whatever. I'm like, whatever, right? Like it's like not everybody can just stop and just not have to go to meetings and do all the work every week, right? But so she doesn't drink. So like, which is great. But even before that, throughout she never really drank a whole lot, right? Like throughout my whole sobriety time, like she would cut herself off. She'd have a couple, she'd be done, right? So there wasn't that push pull of like, I'm sober, she's so drunk, now we're having issues, right? So when you go into a relationship, right, like there's so many things that you got to figure out that have nothing to do with drugs or alcohol, or addiction. All of that's just extra. It's either going to be insanity or you're both on the same page and you will find a way to make it work. But even right now, like I've helped so many people that are just, hey, I know your wife, my husband's drinking in the basement every day. I don't know what to do. So then there's 12-step opportunities. So there's a lot of 12-step work that I've done over the years with people that know my wife. I have no idea who they are, or I've met them once, or I've been in spots where people just open up to me and just spew all of their stuff. And they're like, and I walked into a room and I'm like, well, I met her and she's super nice. And then I left and I found out, well, she heard I was an accountant. So she was talking to me about her tax situation. So I know how much money she makes. And then she was telling me about her husband who's a raging alcoholic and the mom and all this stuff. And I left at a party. I'm like, I guess I'm like one of the closest people she has in the world now, but I didn't know she was. So there's a lot of good 12-step opportunities there. So when you, as a young guy, are looking at all you can't look at the totality of everything because it's too much. Like, not like everybody always talks about like, till death do you part, marriage is forever, all this stuff. Marriage isn't forever. It's not. It really isn't. And people are like, how can you say that? I'm like, because if one person just decides, I'm not going to talk to you, how long, I'm just not going to talk to you anymore. How long is that going to last, right? There's so many different aspects of a marriage or relationships, right? If tomorrow my wife was like, hey, we're just, we're not, as an example, right? All the things, we're not having sex anymore. How long is that going to last? Could last forever. It's possible, right? There's so many things in a relationship. It's like, you're like, hey, I'm just not going to do that anymore. At a certain point, there's a tipping point for every relationship where you're like, it's too much, right? And you're like, the talking is the best example, right? Arguing, people like, oh, married people argue all the time. I'm like, yeah, it happens. But if like someone just decides like, hey, I'm just not gonna talk. I'm just not gonna hang out with you anymore. I'm not gonna talk to you. It's never gonna work, right? The
No.
same with any other aspect. So like, if you go into it with the feeling that when you're with that other person, you're like, it's like something you've never felt before, and you just have that crazy just connection, right? Like, go for the connection because you can figure the rest of the stuff out, right? Like, that's what my wife and I still have. Like, I swear to God, there are days where I'm like, I could never talk to her again and it would be fantastic. And there's other days where I just look at her and I'm just like, no matter what, I'm just like, it's still there. It's
Yeah.
still there. That first feeling that I had when I saw her 15 years ago, that I was just like, oh shit. Like I'm a man of many words, and she put me to a spot where I could barely say anything when I met her. And you're like, really? I was like, dude, my first thing I said to her, it made no sense. Like, it really did. Like, the feeling's still there.
That's
it's
awesome,
still, it's
dude.
still there.
That's great.
So that's where, like, if you look at relationships, you can't look at the what ifs or you take it all into account, right? Like, especially like that, you're 7 years in. There's no reason that you couldn't get into a relationship, right? The only thing in any relationship, if I were to be, and I would tell my sponsees this, if I was to be single again tomorrow and I was to go into a relationship, the number one thing that you have to keep into mind is like, as long as I'm doing this for the right reason, it's okay, right? If there's a general attraction and a desire to be with the person, and you're not using the other person to get what you want, you'll be fine, right? Like, that's the base of it. Like, if I go into a situation knowing like I'm going to take advantage of this person to get what I want, don't do it. That's it. That's baseline. If it's anything over that, it's what life's all about.
Yeah.
It's relationships. That's all life is about.
No, that's beautiful because I feel that like I've heard this term and it's like I'm gonna butcher it, but women are women are like a photo shoot. You might take 100 photos, but there's only gonna be like 3 or 7 keepers. You know, something
100%.
like that. And that connection, like you said, it is something that will be blatant. It is something that will be obvious to you, is like you said, doing it for the wrong reasons. Knowing is knowing, I feel like, is kind of what you said in one way or another there.
Yeah.
And anything else is just not worth your time.
No, don't settle.
So,
Go. This is what I tell people in sobriety. Go for it. What's the worst that could happen? Seriously. Like, when I met my wife, like, you know, the same thing too. It was like I tripped over my own words, and it was like I had a choice that night. I could have either just like, oh, man, I screwed up, and then I'm just gonna go talk to somebody else, or just be like, I'm going for it, whatever. And I just went for it, you know. And you know, we've been together since. But like, if you take that mentality with anything, like sobriety, anything, like, just go for it. Like, that confidence comes with age and time, but it also comes with just like the reality of everything is like, and people say, I hate when people say, you miss 100 shots you don't take. I'm like, you also miss 100 shots you do take. Like, so like, but the thing is like, just go for it. Like, who cares? Like, that's the thing. As long as you have good intentions, you never know what could happen. Like, that's the beauty of it. Like, that's why, like, some, like, my relationships before I met my wife too, right? Is that like, sometimes things were like, I had bad intentions and it's like, yeah, I made amends to people when I could for those, right? I still have amends that I could make to other people. Honestly, I don't even know if they would remember me at this point because it's been so long, right? But there have been relationships and stuff that I've been in where my buddies, you know, like, wow, why are you talking to that person? And then I would hang out with that person and we'd have a friggin' awesome time, right? So like, that's the thing, is that like, you just got to go for it. Like, you never know what's going to happen, right? And for you too, like, if you're this far in, you'll be fine. Like, you know, now, you know, meeting somebody and going through the whole thing, like, that's a whole nother, like, good luck with that.
Hi, I'm sober. Hi, I'm no,
Yeah,
no.
exactly. Like, hey, just put it out there to the ladies, just a
Right.
heads up.
No, that's good. And with family stuff too, you mentioned it a little bit. We're in the holidays right now. Holidays are a tough time for people, not just in sobriety, but people of all different kinds. I lost a friend recently, and
Shared that the other day, man. I'm sorry.
yeah, and he was a Marine. The Marine birthday was like within that couple of days, and like I don't know what it is about holidays, like just kind of giving people this. There's a hot cold, it's holiday season. Like, why not be excited, right?
Yeah.
Like Thanksgiving, like let's be grateful. Christmas, let's have a. You might not have people to celebrate with. You might have people to celebrate with that you don't like entirely, or you maybe have great people around you. I don't know, but regulating one's self and feeling like, okay, like these holidays are here. I might not be exactly where I want to be in life, these other things, but you know, I don't know what it is. I don't know why the holidays just sort of like have that effect on people. If you have an idea or if you have any sort of connection to the holidays or thoughts on people right now, or a message even to people right now going through the holidays and feeling one way or another.
So, from my experience, right, of seeing personally with my family and all of the things that come with it, right, is that the holidays are good and bad. Great because you get a chance to spend time with people. It can be. It could be horrible, right? Because at the same time, I think for people it's hard too because family situations can be supportive, they can be toxic, they can be enabling. It's family stuff is very sticky, right? And so the holidays, you can be excited about certain things. The nostalgia that comes with it. It's like you end the year and then you're ending the year with like nostalgia of all the things that like the year went through. But then, you lose somebody and you start thinking back to memories and people who aren't here anymore. And so there's a lot. There's a lot to unpack there, right? So everybody's situation, like some people, yeah, family situations are amazing. It's a great time. For other people, it's super toxic and they're just trying to make it,
Yeah.
just trying to make it through,
Yeah.
And from if you're in one of those situations, the beauty in it is that there's a strength to be pulled from that if you can make it through, right? So, I myself, there's been some toxic situations that I had to remove myself from, and it was tough because it's like people are like I don't understand why you're not coming around. It's like because it's super toxic, and when I leave here it makes me want to drink my head off,
Yeah.
so navigating through that isn't easy and it's tough, but the great thing is that there's a lot of help available with, just like we have the Alcathon Wednesday and Thursday, right? So there's places that people can go where if you're there, you're not going to use, and you can get away from people. It's a great outlet. Like even if you get through a tough family situation, and so there's tons of help available all over the place, right? Like even if you're not an alcoholic, but you're struggling, right? You could go to something like that, sit around, play cards, hang out, watch the Lions lose or whatever you want to do, right? Like there's outlets.
Right.
And I think the big thing for people, the message that I would have is that, if you're in a super dire, tough situation, right, is like there's help out there. Like there's help out there, and there's so many people that are willing to go above and beyond to help out. And it's not going to feel like that. You're going to feel alone. You're going to feel like everything's coming down on top of you, that you can't do anything about it. It just is what it is. That's just life, right? Like my family treats me like shit, and that's just it. It's like, no, it's not. That's not it, right? It could be it if you just give up. It could be. I could be dead right now because I just gave into my alcoholism and I didn't go for it and try to get sober, right? It could be, but there's a lot of possibility. And I feel like when I've seen people, I know a lot of people that were at one point in their life, they were in a situation where they were hopeless and they were out and that was it. And they were like, my significant other just drinks in the basement and it's all on me and I don't know how we're gonna do this. And then they just kept going. And at a certain point, it all kind of mellows out and works out, but it just takes a long time. So patience for anybody that's out there struggling, especially through the holidays, find an outlet. Go to pcalano.org, right? Go to the karaoke, like you're struggling in your situation, go to karaoke. It doesn't even matter if you're an alcoholic. Just go listen to the 66,000 songs they have, right? Like, we have alcothons. We have even if you're not an addict or an alcoholic, but you're struggling in a tough situation, like just like you said, there are so many positive outlets that you brought up earlier in this conversation. Church, AA,
Gym.
right? Gym, support groups, like find just like that. If you doing this podcast is a way to bridge multiple different outlets. So I would say for yourself, as you're going through recovery too, if you can get other people on spirituality, different religions, right? Get different perspectives, because if you can start bridging these different outlets for people, it might turn into like the Jake's, like recovery or like help outlet, right? Where like people are like, I'm not an alcoholic or addict, but like I have a super abusive person in my life. What do I do? And it's like they go to one of these outlets and maybe they find a church group or they find some type of support that can get them through what they're getting through, right? They're going through. Mm-hmm. Like that might be where this ends up. I don't know. I think it'd be great.
Yeah. No, I mean, sobriety, like I've said this before, I mean, meetings, and I've brought friends who aren't alcoholics to meetings just to get the perspective, because it is people working through life stuff. And yes, we are all, for the most part, there as alcoholics working through this mental addiction, this disease together. But the life advice is universal. It is.
Oh, yeah.
And the 12 steps, like if you apply those steps to whatever problem you're facing, I've found it to be helpful for that too. And I wanted to bring back a memory that you and I have. I don't remember what I was going through, but I remember I was going through it like a couple months ago, or maybe it was even a year ago at this point. But it was summer, and I was just at this Shell gas station, and I was just praying, like, God, I could really use something right now. Like, I don't know. Like, I need help. And you were at the Shell gas station getting some gas or whatever, and I was just like, Ricky.
Yeah.
And you were like, Jake. And it was just a moment that God just was beaming the light down on you and my life, and like, and it really, I mean, it happens like that sometimes. And the community, like you said, just I don't have words for it, really.
You can't. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing is like that situation. I actually, after that situation, I was like, shoot, I didn't get his number, because I was like, I would go just like that, go grab. We still should. Like the good thing is I'm working from home now a couple days a week, so I could like actually meet up, right? But like that was it. It was one day, 85 degrees outside. I stopped at the gas station. I like went to make a deposit for work. And you walked out, and I just saw you. I was like, "Hey, hell yeah, man! Like, what's going? Like, I love things like that, because especially when you're going through it, right?
Yeah.
Is that it just happens? That's the craziness of it. It just happens, right? You're like, you're having a tough day, and then something happens, and you just like that. You see somebody you need to see, or something dumb happens, and you laugh about it, right? Yeah. And like, I mean, it just But you don't. But that change in perspective of the last 7 years of working the steps, right? most people in general don't deal with their problems at all. Like the most you hear people dealing with their problems now is they're doing gummies. Like they're taking 2 milligrams so that they can go to the kids' game or practice,
Right.
and they're super stressed and they just, right? Like, but like that's the thing with 12 steps is like every day the program is going to hold you accountable and like, what are you working on to get better? So that when you hit times like that, you do all of these things to build build a community and support. Like I said, with the sponsoring, right? You build this whole thing so that when everything else falls down, maybe that one last thing is that like, oh, I ran into that dude that I know from the program, and we talked and it was great and it got me through it, and then I went to a meeting that night and I was back on track within a few days, right? So like
Right.
that's why you build this entire support like system so that you have all of it, right? Like I said, if you get to a point, and I threw this out to a sponsee last week, is that doomsday scenario, right? I've been sober for 14 years. I go home, my wife's cheating on me. It's like, oh, damn it. All right, well, like I got in my 14 years, I've got people in the program. I got the program. I got a family. I got kids. I got a wife. I got a job. I got a house. I got all this stuff, right? Go home, wife's cheating on me. Damn it. All right, so there goes the wife, right? Like that's not going to work out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then, with that, Monday comes around, lost my job. Now I got my financial insecurity. Now I can't pay for my stuff, right? 2 massive fears, right? Rejection, failure, right off the bat. Job's gone, wife's gone. What about the kids? Well, can't afford to pay for that. She's got a new boyfriend. Now I'm not seeing my kids as much. Kids are gone. So now it's like my family's gone, my job's gone, all this stuff's gone. It's like, damn, all the pillars are starting to fall down. You're like, okay, like, I can't afford stuff anymore. Can't go to the gym. Can't afford the gym anymore. There goes another thing, right? Health, another pillar falls. And all these things can just keep going away, right? And you get all the way down to it, and it's like, the only thing that I have that stops me from going back out and doing what is ingrained in me, which is to use drugs or alcohol or some other addiction to ruin my life. The only thing that I have, higher power and the program. Everything else can fall apart. Car could break down on the way home. As I'm going home to find out my wife cheated on me, car breaks down. Now I don't have a car, right?
Break your leg walking home.
Break my leg. Literally everything, right? I fall in dog shit. Everything is awry, right? All of it falls down, right? But if you work the program and you put all the hard work and you do the steps and you get everything and you get to a point, right? Everything else can fall away. The only guarantee you have, period, guaranteed hands down, is that if you have a relationship with a higher power and you have the program, you have a split second. You're guaranteed 1 split second to make the right call when everything falls apart. That's all you get. That literally, you get nothing else. Like that is the only thing that you get. So if I've been sober long enough and I have that, and I can pray to my higher power, everything, God, everything just fell apart. Can you help me? Can you just help me get to a meeting, or help me get somewhere? If you can just help me get to a meeting.
Do the next thing.
Just help me stay sober, Now, doomsday scenario. We just went through the whole doomsday scenario, right? I'm covered in dog crap. My leg's broke. I have no car. I have no all the things, right? Okay, so like I didn't drink. I made it through that day, right? Okay, so I have a big network of people over the years I worked the program with, right? I make a phone call like, okay, so-and-so said I can crash at their house for a day, a couple days, right? Okay. Hey, guess what? My car is broke. I could call tons of people. Hey, man, can you come pick me up, dude? I'm in a tough spot. Yeah, I'll be right there, right? I can get a ride. So I can get a ride home. I can crash somewhere, right? Okay, they'll take me to a meeting. I can keep going to meetings, right? all right, hey, can you give me a couple days? I'll start calling people. Guess what? I know a ton of people I can call about jobs, right? All right, I got a new job. And you can start seeing like you just slowly, like you are doing it because of your higher power. Like if you get that split second, you make the right call, you can just slowly start putting it all back together, right? But it's only because you, one, are sober, and it takes a long time to build that network so you get to that point, right? So even when you hit that doomsday scenario, if you keep pushing long enough and you keep going, eventually it'll all come back together, right? And that's the beauty of it, is that when you take all the stuff, the program, all the stuff, and you take it down just to the bare bones, only thing that you get is that split second to make the right call. Because when everything else is gone, right? Because just like that, if you still have stuff, right? It's like I could have a horrible day. I'm like, I could driving home, like, I'm just gonna drink. I'm just gonna drink tonight. Screw this. And then I get home and I see my kids. I'm like, well, all right, I'll go to a meeting. Right? Like it's right there, right?
Yes.
But
yes,
if you're on your own, or you're going through it and you feel like I can't do it, right? Like no one's in my corner. I can't do it. Then obviously, how are you know what I mean? Like, so that's where finding one of these other avenues or outlets of like some type of support, so that you can get to a point, and it's not going to be instantaneous, right? You might have to go to a year's worth of church support groups where people are like, I have enough numbers to call that I can get through something, right? It might take a long time, right? It might take a while in the program, like it's going to take a long time to get sober. It's going to take even longer to stay sober, right? And hopefully by the time you figure it all out, you're dead, right? That's my goal, right? Like, what's the end goal? Stay sober to the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which may, like I said, day at a time. Yeah. But like, hopefully I stack enough days that eventually it's like I stayed sober to the end. But that's the thing, is that like, you just have to keep going with it. That's the hardest part, is that people, it's so hard to stick it out.
Yeah. And if you ever do figure it out before you're dead, I mean, you'll be a robot. So
100%, yeah, AI.
You'll just go into AI mode, and that'll be your destiny. But
that's a scary AI. Like, honestly, if you were to be like, I'm going to sell you some AI, right? I'm going to sell you Jake AI, who's like very spiritual and very grounded, very good. Or I'm going to sell you Ricky AI, or like Ricky AI. It just sounds insane. Yeah. But then also you're like, I don't know where this thing's going to take me, dude.
Yeah. No, I mean, you really crushed it there at the end. I feel like that's like the community's taking advantage of them. And like, I have been a part of multiple different groups, and at multiple different times I've been able to lean maybe on one more than the other. And like, when you build that system like you talked about, you give yourself the opportunity. It's similar to this guy I was at the table with last night said he put in 80 job applications. One of them came back. One of them.
Good.
And that's like,
yeah, one. Yeah. Hell
dude,
yeah.
you did your job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you dabbled over here, you dabbled over there. I got my church group, my soccer group, my MMA gym community, my sobriety community, and all of these people that have poured into me and have been around and are helping me even to this day. Like you said, just get my life on track and like do whatever it is. Like you said, God, whatever is the next thing that I'm supposed to do, help me do it. And then he puts people in your life that just are there to help you do that. And
exactly. And that's the thing, is that you could have 17 groups, and you don't have to have 70 friends in this group and all these friends. Like, dude, I got one dude that I know from like soccer, right? Like,
yeah.
I got one dude that's a real dude it's in my corner in soccer. I got two people that I'm locked in with the church, because there's people in every group where you're like, I don't want to do it.
No.
But you're like,
not everybody vibes.
Exactly. I got 2 over there. I got 15 over here. And then before you know it, you're like, I got 30 people I can count on in 17. That's what, but it takes, how long does it take to get there?
Years.
It takes a long time, right? So that's where my message to people is to just keep going and pushing. And just like that, like, if you have the right intentions and you have faith to any higher power, I don't care what it is, right? Like, I was last night, I'm in a changing room, and this will be one of my last stories I tell you, right? Because I got 7,000 of them, right? It just happened last night. I'm uncomfortable buying a sweater for myself. I'm waiting for the changing room, right? 8 o'clock at night at Macy's, right? And the worker who should be helping people in and out and managing the thing and doing the thing, he is praying. He's doing his prayer. He's Islamic. He's doing his prayers,
Sure.
right? Off to the side. And that's what he's doing, right? Some people would probably get like upset about that or whatever. And my thing is like, hell yeah. Like, that's what I'm talking about, right? That dedication, I don't give a shit what your religion is. The fact that this guy had his priorities straight, where he was like, I don't care if it's the middle of my shift on Black Friday, whatever. Like, I haven't been able to pray all day. I'm taking 5 seconds and I'm going to pray. I was like, that guy's got his priorities straight. He stood up. He looked at me. He's like, I'm really sorry. I've been here since noon. I haven't been able to pray all day. I was like, hey, I looked at him. I'm like, don't ever apologize. I'm like, you don't have to apologize to me. I'm like, I appreciate the dedication. I love it. That is amazing. Do what you got to do, man. That's awesome.
Yep.
Right? And he looked at me, and I think the look in his face is like he was expecting something. He wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is like to see that. I saw that yesterday, and the appreciation I had for it, like you said, it's like that's awesome. Like, dude, take your fight. Like, do your like that's amazing. The fact that you would do that. I was like, I just saw a dude in the parking lot who cut everybody off. I'm like, I don't like that guy, but I love this guy that's
right.
praying and like taking time in his shift to pray. I was like, and it was a super positive experience. And like you said, like whatever you're going through, right? Like if you have the best intentions, right, you can find little bits of like drive or support or dopamine that you need to propel you forward, to fall forward, right? Is that like you're at the end of your day, you're exhausted, all this stuff, and then you see somebody praying like that, you're like, that's it, right? And you get that little bit more, right? Like you're falling, like you see some guy getting out of his car at a gas station that and you're like, you take 5 seconds to have a conversation and a half hug, and it's like, that's what it's all about. Like that's what will help you get you through. It's not going to be a white light you're going to see. It's those little bits, and then after 7 years, you're like, you pull back and you look at all the things all over the place, and you're like, you look at all the things that you're doing. You're like, it's not going to be miraculous, but little bits here or there, and then fast forward, and you're like, holy man, it's been 7 years. Man, it's been 10 years. It's been 14 years. It doesn't matter. Like I take so much joy in those little moments. I do. All the other things are whatever. I take that, like the 5 seconds, just like you said, and enjoy the shit out of it because I know, and I've been through it, where you're going to have 5 other seconds where you're on the phone and you're like, how did he die? And it stops you in your tracks and you feel like you can't go on. And it was just like, what the F? So the flip side to every coin is that if you stack up enough time, you do enough, you get to a point where no matter what happens, you can be like, okay, how did he die? What can I do? Or, hey, great job, man. Keep going. And you'll be on opposite sides of that. But that's what I'll end on today with that because, like I said, a lot of this stuff, great conversation. I hope we can do this again.
100%.
My only thing I would recommend to you with all these networks you have, if that's what this turns into, we were talking about spirituality, sobriety, recovery, support. If it just turns into support, dude, take all those networks that you got, man, start plucking people from different ones, and let's try to put something together so that people have a lot, not
Yeah.
just AA recovery, but all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
So it's on you now.
Dude, no, that was a beautiful. I usually will be like, all right, well, 30 seconds if you have like a message that you want to give, but no, you just wrapped it beautifully there, and I think I want to pray us out, if that's okay.
Let's
too.
do it.
Okay, dear God, I just thank you first and foremost. Thank you for this day. Thank you for Ricky once again, and us being able to come here and being given the ability, the drive to accrue this knowledge and time sober, to be able to do this, to be able to put this out, offer a bit of positivity to anybody watching, and to strengthen our community, God, all of them. Like Ricky said, athletics, sobriety, spirituality, church, whatever it may be, God, I just pray that your will would be done and that we would continue to grow, make these connections, and become the people we need to be. For anybody watching this video that is struggling right now, God, I just pray that you would just meet them, even right now in this moment, God, that you would just meet them and be able to let them know that you're there, like you've been there for us, for me, for Ricky, for all of the different people that have helped us through the program, through these days, and just for every little crack, every little crevice of our lives that you know the depths of even better than we ever will, God. That you would just continue to help us grow and learn about ourselves and follow that thread to the next realization that we need to make in order to become the people we need to become. I just thank you. And in closing, ask that you would help to continue increase our inner strength through the Holy Spirit and help us to better understand the depths of your love for us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, man. Heck yeah, dude. Love it. Absolutely love it.